Bernard Hopkins, at 37 years of age, certainly a ring veteran, has the height advantage and also a reach advantage over his opponent, Carl Daniels, tonight. Here are the rules for tonight's championship matchup. There'll be no standing 8 count in the state of Pennsylvania. No 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and the fighters cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final.
And here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Reading, Pennsylvania, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing to you first the challenger on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with silver trim, hailing from St. Louis, Missouri. He weighed in at the middleweight limit of 160 pounds even. His record stands at 47 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, with 30 wins coming by way of knockout. Currently ranked the #1 middleweight contender by the WBA. Here is the former WBA super welterweight champion of the world, introducing Carl Daniels. And his opponent across the ring, the defending world champion on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks with silver trim, fighting out of and representing his hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at a trim and ready 158 3/4 pounds. His record stands at 40 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 29 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight he is making an unprecedented 15th defense of his middleweight title. Here is the consensus fighter of the year, the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, introducing Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. And once again, our referee in charge, Frank Cappuccino, now to give instructions. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled.
You got that, Greg? Bernard? Carl? Bernard? Good evening, gentlemen. You were both given your instructions. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves. Touch gloves. I leave it with you.
Where's the first movie, bro?
I'll take it. Stay in your corner, Bernard.
And we are about ready to go here. Round 1. Frank Cappuccino telling the fighters to back up a little bit. And here we go. Round 1. Bernard Hopkins with the advertisements on his back and his pants. And the shorter of the two, Carl Daniels. And we'll see if Carl Daniels does what he says. He wants to move. He wants to counter.
He's
showing a little hip movement.
He's coming forward, but he's not in range yet to land anything. Bernard has that left hand down, and you see a southpaw with a straight right hand, which he just threw, and a lot of left hooks.
Hopkins can fight either way. He can fight on defense early in the rounds like he did against Trinidad. He can bob and weave and counter. He's got a great right hand. The right cross is his favorite, most effective punch. Or he can come right at you.
All right, both of you stop and step back. Step back.
Effective way of tying up by Carl Daniels, just leaning on Bernard. Bernard's picked up his left hand. Trying to see if he can find the range. Both guys just tossing that jab out, just trying to get that range down.
Bernard Hopkins hasn't lost in a long time. His last defeat years ago to Roy Jones Jr. And by golly, he'd like to fight him again. And Roy Jones Jr. will be coming up later in the defense of his light heavyweight title.
Both guys are bone dry. Oh, nice right to the body by Bernard. Little sweat on Bernard's chest, but Daniels looks, there's no sweat on Daniels.
And Daniels sneaked in a counter uppercut, didn't do any damage. Here's a left hand, couple of lefts from Daniels.
Notice how the fight has changed already. Daniels was going after Hopkins. Hopkins is now going after Daniels. But Bernard is throwing punches when he gets inside.
Back to the center of the ring. I would think, Tony, that Daniels wants to keep moving. He doesn't want to stand there. He doesn't want to try to get set. That's what Hopkins likes.
You don't want to let Hopkins get into his rhythm.
Hopkins said an interesting thing about the Trinidad fight. He said, I watched Trinidad's feet because Trinidad had to get set to throw a punch, and when he set his feet, then I moved away from the left hook. Closing seconds here in round one. Round two, here we go. Not much happened back in the first round. Round two, Daniels has been told to keep moving. He sure doesn't want to stand right in front of Hopkins.
Talked about the corner of Carl Daniels. It looks like he took a little bit of a low blow. Hopkins has, I guess, the consensus trainer of the year in Bowie Fischer working his corner. Very smart man. Been with Hopkins since the beginning, which is unreal in boxing.
Well, I think when Hopkins came out of prison is when he hooked up with Fischer and met his wife, and that changed his life for the better.
Step back.
Hopkins started out as a light heavyweight. His first pro fight he lost as a light heavy, and then went to the middleweights and has been there ever since. Interesting fellow from Philadelphia. Wanted this fight in Philly, but all the big arenas in Philadelphia were booked with other pro sports, and they brought it here to the new arena in Reading, and this town has responded tremendously.
Look, it looks like a little swelling under the left eye of Daniels. Like, can't get a good look at it.
Hopkins doing a little holding and hitting there.
Little head by Bernard also.
Body shots are coming.
Daniels is being smothered by Hopkins right now.
And his corner is yelling for more body shots. Second round action. The undisputed middleweight champion, who has gained a lot of fame since that middleweight elimination championship tournament in New York City.
Let him go. Let him out. Come on.
A quick combination.
Daniels is a little bit short with his punches, and his reaction time is a little slow also.
Hopkins with a reach and height advantage. and a lot faster.
Get the feeling Hopkins trying to end this with one overhand right down the middle. Usually he wears you down.
Which brings up the question, with a big hometown crowd up here in Reading from Philadelphia, which is only 50 miles away, you would think Hopkins might want to put on a little bit of a show rather than end it quickly.
Well, I think Hopkins wouldn't mind ending the show early if he had the opportunity.
Now we're down to the final seconds here of round 2. Nothing real exciting yet.
Signature moves by Hopkins. He works that body. Look how he swings himself into position, digs that right hand, tries to come back with another one.
Round 3, scheduled for the championship 12. #1 contender, won the elimination box off with Barbosa. Carl Daniels, the shorter fighter. They both have black and white trunks. And he didn't fight all last year.
And that's the problem with some boxers. You get that #1 ranking like a David II in heavyweight. You sit on it, don't fight the right type of competition, and you don't improve. Daniels has not fought in 13 months. There's got to be some rust there. Bernard Hopkins is trying to chip it off with those shots to the body.
This is a right and a left.
Hopkins also has Leon Tabbs working his corner, another real bright guy from Philadelphia.
They told Hopkins between rounds to get on top of him, stay on top of him.
Daniels got to be a little more aggressive. He's got to start popping that jab and giving some angles, because if he stands there, Bernard's going to start trying to break those ribs. You notice he's not going to the head, he's going to the body first. Is bring your arms down and then go upstairs. That's the old style in boxing. They always say take out the body and the head will fall.
Well, they're still yelling for Hopkins to go to the body.
Daniels gets caught by a right. Daniels is setting up and then backing up instead of holding his ground and trying to jab coming in. Haven't seen Daniels work the body, but he's in a defensive mode already.
Quite frankly, I give Daniels a lot of credit to be hanging in there. Even though it's the 3rd round, he's in with a superbly conditioned athlete, always in shape, with a tremendous work ethic.
But he's got to try and win after sitting on that #1 spot for 13 months. You just can't pose now. You got to get to work. Hopkins is the one doing all the work right now.
Hopkins has seen them all. We recall his fight with Antoine Eccles when he was body slammed, hurt his shoulder, and had to finish the fight one-handed and won the fight. Tremendous determination.
Nice right hand by Bernard Hopkins. He's bringing it right down the middle. Daniels not moving his head.
Final seconds, round 3.
This is a 12-round fight, and Bernard Hopkins realized that, so he's trying to slow his man down by going to the body. His left hooks and the right hands all to the body. You see, he can wind it up. Carl Daniels didn't even move out of the way.
Round 4. The last round ended with a brief little flurry from Daniels. Hopkins had mentioned at the press conference that Daniels looked petrified. But Daniels is showing some guts in here.
I thought he was thought his eye was swollen under the left eye, but it wasn't. It's just his cheekbones. But Bernard has changed his offense. He's going down to the body. Nice shot by Bernard Hopkins. Nice little shoulder. Little Bernard Hopkins move by Carl Daniels with the shove off the shoulder.
Well, Hopkins, you can see the difference in reach. Hopkins definitely has that reach advantage.
And now Hopkins is throwing a different angle. He's fighting backwards.
Just slammed the right hand to Daniels' midsection.
And if he gets Daniels leaning forward, he can try an uppercut.
Daniels not known as a knockout artist.
That rocked him a little bit, that left hook.
And another right hand off the forehead of Daniels.
Shots are starting to push Daniels back onto the heels of his feet.
The right hand is getting in there. Oh, what a right hand to the midsection.
Daniels trying to fight back, but Bernard Hopkins, you don't give enough credit for being a great defensive fighter. He smothered those inside shots and still is in position to fight back.
Hit and run tactics.
All the Hopkins shots have been above the belt. He's trying to slow down Daniels. I don't like what his corner is saying. Trunks are high because he's hiding the fat. That's what happens when you take 13 months off.
There's another body shot from Hopkins.
You might as well put a bullseye on your belly because that's all Bernard is doing right now. Hopkins trying to nail the stomach with the uppercuts.
Coming up following this, Roy Jones Jr. versus his challenger, Australia's Glenn Kelly from Miami, from American Airlines Arena. Closing seconds here now of round 4 as Hopkins has picked up the pace.
This has been the Bernard Hopkins exhibition to the body workout. See Daniels trying to come in, change his tactics, go straight to the head. Daniels has nothing for it. Nice move by Hopkins, but he has not gone away from going after the belly.
Round 5 here at the Sovlin Center Arena in Reading, Pennsylvania. This town has gone crazy over this big fight card.
After 4 rounds, I have it 40-36 Hopkins, 4 rounds to zip for Carl Daniels.
They told Carl Daniels, hey, you're in this guy's backyard. You got to start doing something.
Nice left hook by Bernard. And he's doing something. He's getting caught. Tommy Brooks does not lie. Got to pick up the pace is what he said. See, Bernard Hopkins keeps going to step on the right foot. Right there, he steps on the foot of Carl Daniels. If you see the footwork, and that holds him in place, and then he pounds him. Where did he get that from? It must be an old Philly trick.
Didn't Chuck Wepner do that for Muhammad Ali?
Yes, he did.
Stepped on his foot in the 15th round, and Ali fell down, and Chuck claimed a knockdown.
Carl Daniels not giving the angles. Got to get off the ropes.
Hopkins just slipped in a right hand.
Very subtle. You got to appreciate that. No one is watching the feet. Everybody's watching the head shots and the body work by Hopkins, but Hopkins just happens to step on Daniels' foot, hold him in place, and wax him.
Well, I wouldn't think Daniels wants to stay in a corner. Bounce one off his head.
And you see Hopkins giving angles, lands a shot, moves out of there. It's a good lesson for young fighters. Don't stand there to wait to get countered. Move and then give him another angle and then hit him.
Daniels in the corner. Hopkins has cut the ring off.
Is this you, baby? Stop. Is this you? Step back, Bernard.
Overhand right. A counter left, another right from Hopkins.
Good shot by Hopkins again. The left hook to the ribs.
What a body shot. Whoa.
You know, Daniels has nothing to lose, so he might as well go slug with him at this point because he hasn't won a round and he hasn't staggered him and he hasn't cut him or nothing. Nice shot by Daniels coming in.
Daniels is trying to put up a fight here. He's not in survival mode like some people have.
But he just froze right there. Good shots by Hopkins. Triple left hook, and he takes a good shot by Hopkins. But he's got to fight back.
And we're coming down to the final seconds of round 5. Counter left hands from Hopkins.
Has had his back against the ropes most of the night, and that's where Bernard Hopkins starts digging to the ribs. Daniels tries to fight back off the ropes. That's the thing that's going to save him if he's from getting knocked out. He's got to fight back. He has to, just like Tommy Brooks said in the corner. You give Bernard Hopkins a chance to sit on you, you got problems.
When you get him on the ropes.
Here we go, round 6. Bernard Hopkins looking for his 15th title defense, which would give him a record. He said, if I win this one, I'm going to start thinking about the Boxing Hall of Fame.
And he won't have to pay to get in. Bernard Hopkins very quick on his feet tonight.
Carl Daniels trying to make a fight of it.
He's got to fight more than just spurts. Bernard Hopkins is going to outspurt him.
And you mentioned earlier, Tony, that Hopkins is going to make a sizable contribution to the family of Steve Little, the Reading super middleweight who died of cancer. And his wife is here with 6 children tonight.
Shows you a good side of Bernard Hopkins.
Well, Hopkins has not always had big paydays. The Trinidad fight, the Holmes fight, this fight, probably making the first big bucks of his career.
At 37 years old, he's put in the time. Good shot. That kind of rock Daniels. A digging left hook by Hopkins. Chopping right hand by Hopkins.
Yeah, that snapped Daniels' head back.
Look at the angles Hopkins is starting to throw. The only thing we haven't seen, and the corner just said it, underneath. I can see Hopkins throw an uppercut because he's got Carl Daniels leaning, which means his chin is right there to be hit on an uppercut.
So what do you think, Tony? Do you think he's going to get a fight with Roy Jones Jr.? Is that possible, or will his demands be outrageous? Hey, that was a counter right hand from Daniels, too.
Here comes Hopkins. That kind of woke him up.
Hopkins didn't like that counter right.
Now he made Hopkins mad, and you know what happens when Bernard gets mad. You talked about Roy Jones Jr. I don't know if that fight ever happens. The weight is one problem, and the egos are another. And you can't talk down Bernard Hopkins because he'll go elsewhere.
It's a 15-pound advantage. Jones, the light heavyweight. Hopkins at 160.
They'll find if they can agree to the contract, they'll agree to the weight. But agreeing to the contract's the problem.
Final seconds coming down here in round 6.
You've got to give Carl Daniels.
We ain't got much time. This is his home.
37 years, Bernard Hopkins is showing really quick feet, but he's coming in, going back, drawing Carl Daniels in, can hit the punch and starts to move away from him so he can't be countered. You see him give him a nice little tap to push him out of the way, reset himself, and watch Hopkins' feet also coming in, trying to hold his man in position.
Round 7. Hopkins starting to take charge like he did in a lot of his fights.
Yes.
He has been known as a slow starter, and he usually by mid-rounds starts to take over, starts to dominate. And he started to do that, picked up the pace in round 4, and since round 5 he's been definitely taking over the fight, although Daniels is hanging in there. He's not been intimidated. Yeah, he gives us a little movement to his left.
But he's got a punch.
And he's caught in the corner again.
Hopkins picking up the pace again. Even at 37, I think Hopkins could have fought in the era of 15-round fights. Knows how to pace himself. Knows how to wear a man down over a long haul.
Hopkins has been in some brawls, too, and he can brawl. He was expected to brawl against Trinidad, surprised everybody in that fight with a totally different game plan because they watched Trinidad films. And it was through that film watching that he came up with the strategy that surprised everybody at Madison Square Garden that night.
Well, Hopkins is surprising me. Always knew he was a pretty good defensive fighter, but his footwork is what's really getting me now. Up on his toes, in and out, side to side. Nice shot by Hopkins right there. Daniels not moving his head, so Bernard Hopkins going to the head.
Daniels bobbing and weaving, but he took a shot to the midsection.
Bobbing and weaving, wasting energy, and he hasn't found the range. When he does land a shot, Bernard wants to erase that shot landing in the judge's mind. He goes on a 6-punch combination.
All right, stop. Break. Step back, step back, step back.
I think they have prepared Daniels for this fight about as good as you can prepare a fighter to go against somebody like Bernard Hopkins. It's just difficult to execute against Bernard Hopkins. The executioner is very good at executing himself.
And he's in control right now, Dick. He's having a good day in the office, as they say. Carl Daniels needs to pick it up. 40%, but I don't know if he has that in him.
Not a real busy round here in the closing moments of round 7.
My turn.
You gotta make it a fight now,
Maybe somebody needs to tell Bernard that Roy's not impressed and maybe he'll make a statement.
But what is next for Bernard? If you had to take a guess, I mean, he wants Roy Jones Jr. He wants him badly.
I think what he'll do if he can't get that, he'll take whoever the organizations throw at you, because those guys you can beat easy.
Round 8.
Remember, Carl Daniels is the #1 contender in the WBA, #6 in the WBC. Is he looking like a #1 contender tonight?
How about somebody like Eastman?
Might be a little bit. Well, he might be as old as Bernard, but Bernard.
Well, he just lost too.
Yeah, he lost to William Joppy, who's now the WBA champion, because Bernard Hopkins is the super champion. It gets more confusing, but Bernard Hopkins is the undisputed middleweight champion, period.
We are in round 8 here. The left hand from Daniels.
Best shot of the night from Daniels, and Bernard Hopkins still coming forward.
How would you classify Hopkins' performance so far?
A shutout, 7 rounds, 70-63. Hasn't done anything wrong. Showed great defense, good footwork, up on his toes and on Daniels' foot. Good body work. I just want to see him throw the uppercut.
You know, I mentioned Antoine Eccles earlier about how he had body slammed Hopkins, and Hopkins fought the rest of the way with one hand. Eccles is here tonight.
Yeah.
He's in the audience.
Passed by our position early, said he's fighting, but didn't mention Bernard again.
Fought him twice. Daniels slips out of the corner back to center ring, takes a jab. Hopkins has great power, and that is one reason he can hit you from angles. Doesn't really need to get set like a lot of fighters do.
He's just busy, throws a lot of punches.
He can hit you on the move. He can hit you off balance. I mean, when he's off balance and knock you out.
You know, you're talking about Antoine Eccles. It seems like the great fighters will give that fighter a second chance who did a halfway decent job. Like, he couldn't continue against Robert Allen, gave him a rematch, chopped him up. Eccles gave him a hard time the first time, not the second. Moan zone in his 14 defenses. Benvenuti twice, Clifford twice, Valdez twice, Jean-Claude Boutier twice. The way Daniels is fighting and getting chopped up, he may not get that second opportunity. You see Hopkins doing all the work. Daniels just not busy enough. If his goal is to go 12 rounds, he might get that, but Hopkins is trying to track him down with those radar shots to the ribs.
Daniels is not able to execute a game plan. He's a bit frustrated. He's hanging in there. He's a bit frustrated. And the closing minutes here of round 8. Closing seconds, rather. And scheduled for 12, Bernard Hopkins. 3 rounds away, possibly, from establishing a record in the middleweight division for consecutive defenses. 15.
Tommy Brooks asked Carl Daniels if he was tired. He said no. He said, you got to pick it up. But I don't think he has any gear to shift up to.
Carl Daniels, the shorter fighter, has been off balance most of the night. I wouldn't say that Daniels has been in a complete survival mode, but he has escaped some possibilities here that could have been damaging.
Nice.
Took a shot to the midsection.
Took about 4 of them, and Hopkins opened up in Daniels' corner.
That left hand to the midsection hurt Daniels. He's hanging on.
Body shots, and there you see an old trick. Bernard Hopkins took all his weight and just fell on Daniels.
First time tonight that either fighter's been hurt, and Daniels took a wicked shot that drove him all the way across the ring.
And he's talking to Hopkins, but come on, you know, be careful what you ask for.
Right hand from Hopkins, a right to the midsection. Hopkins often does this in the latter rounds. He comes on strong.
Daniels keeping that right hand down. His jabs are very, very short. He's still talking to Hopkins.
He's taking some punches.
Daniels is walking the right where Hopkins wants him.
Machine gun left hooks. That was a glancing blow that made a lot of noise. Oh, another shot to the midsection. Daniels is taking some wicked shots.
He's got a chin. Sometimes I think Bernard Hopkins figures he doesn't get paid until he stops you after the 10th.
Final seconds here of round 9. Round 10, and in the last round, for the first time in this fight, Daniels was stung from a midsection shot. Otherwise, neither fighter really has been in trouble. And here is Hopkins, 3 rounds away from that coveted 15th defense. And he has said that's a goal of mine.
I still have it a shutout, though. 90-81 for Hopkins.
I do, too. I just don't see how anybody could give a round to Daniels, although Daniels has been game. He's been hanging in there. He has certainly taken some tremendous midsection shots.
You wonder if Bernard Hopkins is going to switch his game plan, go back upstairs after tattooing the ribs for so long.
And if he should go the distance with Hopkins, then he can say, I went the distance with the undisputed champion, and maybe that'll get him some good fights.
Maybe he could say, I did something Trinidad didn't do. I didn't get knocked out. Remember, Larry Holmes fought a guy named Lucian Rodriguez who stayed away from for 12 rounds. When the fight was over, Rodriguez threw his hands up in the air. People thought he won. He said, no, I went the distance with Larry Holmes.
You know, with a lot of fighters, that counts.
Yeah.
How many times you heard a fighter say, hey, he went the distance with so-and-so.
Oh, yeah, 20 years from now, he lost a split decision, you know. Bernard Hopkins just sticks to his game plan, just beating you up.
Hopkins is taking a workout here tonight. He's been in control.
And he's trying to make Daniels walk into his right hand.
He just slipped a left hook in there, a left uppercut rather, that went between Daniels' gloves.
Gee, we haven't seen referee Frank Cappuccino too much tonight. It's been a clean fight, though.
Very clean fight. And Hopkins has been in some dirty fights in the past with Robert Allen, Eccles. And Hopkins has been known to pull some tactics himself.
Well, we've seen a few tonight. The foot on the foot, laying on Carl Daniels. Well, this has been a clean fight for far as Bernard's concerned.
And we're coming down to the end of round 10, and a round that is kind of quiet. Not at the end, however. Combination. What, baby? Are you sure? Okay, well, hold on.
I think that might be the end of the fight.
That's just kind of quick.
He's had it.
That's it, Tommy
Body
Brooks.
shots did it. The fight's over.
Tommy Brooks just said to Frank Cappuccino, we're done.
Bernard Hopkins just systematically busted up Carl Daniels. Wasn't with cuts, any blood, just all body work. He took the legs away, took his game away, took his heart away.
Well, that's one thing about Hopkins. It's always been said that he wears you down.
A lot of young fighters that got to get you out in 5 rounds or 4 rounds. Bernard Hopkins trains to go 12 rounds. If he knocks you out in 5, knocks you out in 11, fine. He's still going 12. If this was a 15-rounder, he could breeze to 15.
Well, there you go. There's the man, Carl Daniels, who hung in there longer than I thought he would. And he quits on a stool at the end of round 10. I believe the body shots wore him down to the point where he was really fatigued.
Carl Daniels just sitting down. There you see Bernard Hopkins look for the shot to the body. This is round 9. Bernard just chopping away. That's the one that had him stumbling across the ring. He said, nah, it didn't hurt. Well, you did a good imitation of somebody who was in pain. Bernard Hopkins just continues to chop away. You know, he really didn't go to the head that much. In the last round, Bernard Hopkins goes back downstairs when he has his man against the ropes, goes to the head, back downstairs. You just see a little sag by Daniels. You know that hurt. Now he's trying to figure out how the heck do I get out of here. But the round ended.
Well, the strategy in Hopkins' corner all fight long was go to the body, go to the body. They knew that they could wear this fellow down by the body shots, and it did. It worked.
And people forget, back in the 50s and 40s, that was boxing. You went to the body first. That was an old tradition that everybody did. Now, everyone goes for the flashy knockdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, upon
time.
advice of the corner, this bout has been stopped by a referee in charge, Frank Cappuccino, at the end of round number 10. The winner by way of technical knockout, and still the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins.
Bernard Hopkins now 41-2-1 with 30 Ks to his record, and Carl Daniels now 47-4-1.
You know, fight fans who grew up watching spectacular knockouts, I hope they can appreciate what we saw tonight, because what you saw tonight was 1950. You saw Sugar Ray Robinson at work. You saw Rocky Marciano, guys like that who would work the body, work the body, work the body. Then you can't keep your hands up, and then you wind up getting knocked out. Well, Carl Daniels got knocked out because he just couldn't take the pain anymore.
But wouldn't you think young fighters would take note of that? But they don't. They come in, they're all headhunters.
But see, to do what Bernard Hopkins did tonight, you really have to pay the price. You say, okay, for the first 4 rounds, I go to the left side of the body. For the next 4 rounds, most guys say, wait, by the 4th round, I got him knocked out. If you can't knock a guy out, then what? Then if you haven't done the body work, you can't slow him down. It's too late in the fight. So Bernard Hopkins knows it's a long battle. It's going to take time. Let me start by setting the foundation by ripping out his ribs.
Bernard, congratulations.
Here is Larry Merchant up in the ring with Bernard.
What is your feeling about setting a new record for successful middleweight championship defenses?
It's great, Larry. It's great. It's great because no one can take that away from me. My daughter, which is 3 years old, can remember that when she's 18, when people get to talk about her father. But first, I'd like to thank Ronnie Palace, GoldenPalace.com, and Ronnie Palace for sponsorship.
We don't do commercials here,
but they already
Bernard.
paid me. The check is in the bank.
Well, that's their problem, not ours.
All right, but I just thank them.
You were facing a slick, cute southpaw. You've seen a few hundred of them along the way. Was there anything different about this? How did you go about it?
Well, I went about it the same way. They tried to storm my will on Carl Daniels, but he was tricky. I mean, southpaws are tricky. And, you know, Larry, I don't know how I look until I watch the tape, but I never really looked tremendous with southpaws because he really didn't come to fight as far as exchanging. But, you know, hopefully I don't have to see another southpaw no time soon.
All right, it seems that you decided early on you better break them down to the body systematically. Let's take a look at a lot of those body punches and tell us about them.
Well, I was out too far a little bit on some of the body shots, but I wanted to keep digging right there. The left hook to the body, I worked in camp with it and wear him down because I know he was a mover and he covered his face up pretty good. And he gives you the body because he don't want to get hit upstairs. So I kept on left hooks to the body and hopefully, you know, put money in the bank and get him later on.
Do you think that this...
Golden Palace.
Do you think that this performance is the kind of performance that will stand out enough for the boxing media, the boxing public, to put you on top of the rankings of pound-for-pound fighters to demand a rematch and showdown with Roy Jones?
As long as I'm a threat, that's all that matters to me. And you know what? I believe Vernon Forrest, my good friend who beat Shane Mosley, who most media had in front of me, should get the #1 spot. But you know what? I like this, Larry. Whatever the public demands, they can have. I want RJ, Roy Jones, pig raising, turtle raising, whatever he is. That's who I want to beat, Larry.